You're alive. And you are a real boy. Hey, a real life boy. This calls for a celebration.
Welcome into the queue, everyone. And in those immortal words of Pinocchio and Geppetto, we are going to kick off this podcast. I just got to watch the VODs of the 5v5 reveal from the Vainglory Worlds, and oh my god, am I so excited. Like, and I've told you guys on the podcast before, and I've told you on the Time for Rolling podcast that I was a part of I'm part of the PBE, so I've already got to play 5v5. I knew kind of how it looked and how it was going to work and a lot of that stuff. I haven't got to play it for a while, so I haven't seen all like the updated art, and the map looks phenomenal. But my excitement goes far beyond artwork. Like, that was the first time that I actually got to spectate it happening, because usually in PBE it's, they want as many matches as they can going at a time. So if you're on, you got to play unless there's just not enough people to make up another full game. And plus I wanted to play the damn thing. So, but getting to watch 5v5 be played by like pros, like smart people, like not people like me, but people who know how to play the game. Wow. That's all I got. Wow. Like, and I have experience with other 5v5 MOBAs. Smite is my main experience with 5v5 MOBAs. I've kind of looked into League of Legends, but Smite is really where I get my experience from. But regardless of what game it is, like, I've played 5v5 MOBAs before, so I understand the scope of it. But just getting to watch it, it's like, and leading up to this 5v5 reveal and, eventually the addition of 5v5 and seeing everybody's excitement, I've always been one of those people that never really understood it. Like, 3v3 Vainglory is a really fun, amazing game. I have enjoyed 3v3 Vainglory for, several years now. And I was always, I guess, lukewarm on the 5v5. Not that I didn't want it, or not that I thought it was going to ruin anything, or not some of the stuff that I've seen on Twitter about, people who want the main competitive mode to be 3v3 so it can be different. It's nothing like that for me. It was just like I didn't see necessarily the need for it. Like, 3v3 was so great already. But this is a game changer. Like, oh my God, is this a game changer? Watching that 5v5, I felt like that clip that I started this podcast with. Like, oh my God, this is a real game now. It's so deep and so rich and so complex to watch a 5v5 match. And the bad thing about 5v5 versus 3v3 with the camera and stuff is that you're never going to be able to see all the action. Like, never going to be able to see all the action. Like, there were times where I'm watching the 5v5 matches go, and, there's like a little team skirmish, like 2v3 or 3v3 or whatever. And I'm like, I want to know what's going on down in the bottom lane over there, because, Flash is being sneaky or something down there. And you just can't see it. So the scope of it is so immense. But wow, is that so much more of a full experience from the perspective of the viewer. And I'm sure from the perspective of a player too. Now, I've only played 5v5 a handful of times on the PBE. And frankly, I was a little overwhelmed just trying to figure out what's there. And I'm sure everybody is just as excited as me and probably felt similar or something like that. Maybe you didn't. Maybe you haven't thought of things like this. Maybe you're just excited for 5v5. I don't know. But to see the things that I've been speculating on come to fruition, for me, is awesome. And maybe they were a poor man's speculation. Maybe it's too simple to just say that strategy is going to win out over mechanical skill in 5v5, and that's what's going to be a big change about 5v5. That's what's going to allow new players to make it to the pro level, as where 3v3 is almost all mechanical skill. Like, I mean, when you think about 3v3, let's think about 3v3 for a minute. In my belief, somewhere between 80 and 90% of all VG8 matches are decided in the draft. Now, I've never calculated that or anything, although I've thought about it, and maybe I will just as an experiment. But what I would like to do is just have somebody read me the drafts from, maybe just the past season or even the past year's 3v3 matches. Just read me the drafts and see how many times I can pick the winner of the draft without even knowing the teams. Because I believe that draft in 3v3 is so important. And I think we saw that in Worlds. Tribe dominated in the draft against at least every team they played, in the after groups. I admit I didn't get to really see Tribe play much in groups. There were too many matches going on, and I just did what I could with the time that I had. But draft is so influential in 3v3. It's going to be very influential in 5v5 too, but you can play so many different combinations of heroes and use them in so many different ways. Like, I think back to the NA versus the SEA 5v5 match where you have Shinkaigen on Lance and you have Lucky Bread on Grace, and you're thinking, all right, so you're going kind of a double roam, but Shinkaigen was playing Weapon Lance, so it was like this hybrid of a damage dealer and a captain hero. 5v5 is so much deeper, and the strategy too. And just the swings, the back and forth swings. Like that NA and SEA match went back and forth so many times. It was so exciting. As we're like 3v3, probably at least 75, if not more, % of the time by, 7-8 minutes into the match, you can figure out who's going to win. Yeah, there's been comebacks. We've seen teams come back. We've seen teams turtle. We've seen other teams just make mistakes during a team fight. And then when it gets so late into a match, all it takes is one mess up in a team fight, and the team that's been trailing the whole game can grab Kraken. One of them can push lane with the ace buff minions, and they can push down 4 turrets and the Vein Crystal and win the game off of one team fight late. If it goes late enough and the respawn timers are maxed out and the other team's waiting whatever it is, 45, 60 seconds to respawn. But with 5v5, it's just like is so much different. Like there was a time where I think it was SEA was pushing in on, going deep on NA while most teams were, or most of the NA players were down, but 2 of them were trying to backdoor, so all the SEA team had to backport to go defend their base. And then it looked significantly like NA had control of that game. And a couple of fights swing a certain way, couple of decisions, right or wrong, are made, and then all of a sudden SEA is winning. They're charging down the lane and pushing into the base and taking the crystal. It's a real game. It's a real game. And not that 3v3 wasn't a real game, but when you compare 3v3 versus 5v5 and you're thinking about like a real game, like a game that's worthy of esports, like a game that's worthy of you like sitting down and taking an hour or 2 or 10 or 12 of your day, like I have, you know, watching VG8, just wake up at 9 o'clock in the morning, start watching EU, and then go all the way until whatever it is, 6 o'clock at night watching NA. When you think of that, like it's a real game and it's impressive. And they're not done yet. And just seeing how some of these heroes are going to be more relevant in 5v5 like we've speculated that they would be it was awesome. It was a great experience watching that. Like, I got to admit, I'm not usually the biggest fan of going back and watching VODs. Like, it's a struggle for me. That was one of probably the most mundane parts of being a coach, is having to go through VODs and try and find weaknesses or try and find mistakes that the team made. Like, that was the rough part for me of being a coach or an analyst, is just watching VODs. And I don't know why. It's no different than watching the match happen, but it's almost like when you know who's going to win, like, what's the point of watching? That's why I can't, like, DVR sports games. Right? If I already know who won the football game, I don't want to watch it. So, but I was enthralled watching this 5v5 match play out. And maybe part of that was because I didn't know who won. But, you know, just watching, watching Jewel be so dominant on Flash, but also having her weaknesses, but like super strong at holding a lane by herself and super strong at taking objectives. That was awesome, because, you know, Jewel is kind of hit or miss in 3v3. She looked really strong on Flash in 5v5, and we're talking Flash. Like, we all saw Flash try to jungle in 3v3. It didn't work out so hot. He did end up winning, but I don't even think that he would say he did, a superb job. But he was like, 5v5 hasn't even dropped yet, and Flash is already making legendary plays and legendary steals. Man. And to see some of these global abilities like Celeste's Solar Storm. Like, Celeste is in the middle lane, and there's like a 3v3 skirmish going down in the bottom lane. And then all of a sudden, this Solar Storm comes through and rips through heroes helping out her team. And she didn't have to be there or even on her way. Think of a Crystal Kestrel, 1-shot, 1-kill. Or things like that. I mean, there's like the game, that's why I went with the Pinocchio theme for this, because the game just grew up. I'm so excited for 5v5. I really want to hear what you have to say, so hit me up on Twitter, leave a comment here on YouTube, or however you want to get a hold of me. Just let me know. I know everybody's excited about 5v5, but I want to know what you're excited about. I want to hear your thoughts. So drop me a line, hit me up, whatever. Like, comment, subscribe. I'm Belligerent. This was The Q. Thanks for listening.